What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to see you today on the Speak and See Show. I ask you like, subscribe, click that notification button so that when I get information out, you guys can get information in. I don't know why, but my hair is just bothering me today. You're wondering why I'm probably putting out videos from the Senate floor, and the answer to that is I'm keeping an eye on what's going on right now with our EIDL grants and loans. And we just had a pretty interesting setup with Cornyn. We all know he's a big part of the EIDL grant program with Jackie Rosenstein and the S513, which would get everybody their EIDL grants. However, he may have done a U-turn on us today as far as what I'm watching right now. This is how we get information directly from the source. I'm going to show you guys a clip. This is right now. This is live Senate hearings that you're seeing behind me, but I'm going to jump out of that so I can give you an input on what actually Cornyn just said and try to go over that with you a little bit in detail. Let me see if I can get this up here for you guys.
Would simply give the state and local governments
the
flexibility to use unspent COVID-19 funding on infrastructure projects.
Okay, what he just said there is the amendment that he's working on is going to use what he's saying. It's not going to use new funds. It's going to use old funds that were in the American Heroes Act, which basically he's saying the funds that he's talking about using here would probably be the EIDL grant money. He would say, okay, well, we're going to put the money in infrastructure, but we don't need a new amendment to get new money. We have old money, which concerns me because the old money he's talking about, I believe, is where they're wanting to take from the SBA. Check this out.
Our amendment would simply give the state and local governments the flexibility to use unspent COVID-19 funding on infrastructure projects. It would eliminate the sunset on the use of those funds, and it would take the guardrails off that say you can only use that money for COVID-19 because, to be honest, Mr. President, the states and counties and cities have more money than they know what to do with it.
You see, when he says they're restricted on what they can use the money for, he's talking about they're restricted that they have to use it in EIDL grants, and they have to use it for low-income communities. And remember, this is Cornyn, the same person who's SBA administrator of Texas is Herbert Austin, who is saying we can't get rid of the money. We can't get rid of the money. The way the SBA has been holding back the SBA EIDL grants from people to keep a surplus for the government, he's kind of in on this right now. He's saying, yeah, well, we can't use it right now, but and the people don't need it because it was pandemic money and we're out of the pandemic. He's kind of saying we're out of the pandemic as far as the SBA money. We can pull that back because they're out of the pandemic, but the infrastructure is not out of the pandemic because we kind of let that go during this time because we were in a pandemic. It's not cool. It's not good.
At least constructively. And I think we all would have an interest in making sure that that money is spent well on long-term projects. What I just said is not necessarily a criticism of the bills that we passed together on a bipartisan basis.
Which would be the American Heroes Act, which would be the EIDL grant bills.
We were in the midst of a pandemic, and we were all operating in an emergency situation, trying to do the best we could. But we didn't know how long this virus would last, how long it would take to get a vaccine, how long the negative impact on our economy would last. And so, frankly, we overshot the mark, I think, in some aspects of the bill, thus leading to the surplus of funds at many of our state and.
That's what he's saying. We've put too much money in the SBA. We gave too much money to the EIDL grant program and to the EIDL loan program. They may have given too much to the EIDL loan program, but they did not give too much to the EIDL grant program. We just can't get it. They won't give it to us. They wanted to keep it for, this is a Pelosi thing here. And it seems like Cornyn's in line with it. I'll let it keep going. But this is why I watch the Senate, and this is why you see once in a while me putting up Senate floors hearing things, because it has to do with our EIDL grants. You got to go in between the lines on these things, people. And I'm just trying to get you into the meat of the matter here.
Local governments. After all, this funding was meant to bolster the fight against COVID-19 in communities across our country. But not every community and not every state has the need for these types of projects. In many places, the most urgent needs aren't related to the pandemic, but rather to failing infrastructure. I've heard from state and local.
That's where he's saying right now, the needs for this money aren't related to the pandemic, but the needs for this money need to go to infrastructure. He's talking about you small businesses. He's saying you don't need it. The roads need it and the potholes need it.
Leaders in my state who are frustrated by the lack of flexibility, by the handcuffs, frankly, on their use of the federal funding they've already received. They want the option, not the mandate, they want the option to use this money when and where it's needed most. But right now, as I said, their hands are tied. Many states and localities have relief funds on hand, but no necessary qualifying expenses. They have to look at this big balance in their accounts, knowing they won't be able to spend it on the greatest needs of their communities. And frankly, they're frustrated because I've heard from them. That's especially the case in rural America, in places where COVID-19 numbers are low. Leaders don't have the need or the opportunity to spend this money within the set timeline for the purposes that Congress has dictated.
They don't have the time to spend the money because they have till the end of the year to get rid of the EIDL grant money. Now they could get rid of it. We all know that they could if they went ahead and got rid of the restrictions that of the stupid policy map, which is crazy, and the restrictions of the 30% loss. So he's saying since we can't use it, they don't really need it. We can't get rid of it. Give it to us for infrastructure because you guys don't need it for small businesses. This is a big hit. And this is really bad for you, Cornyn. This is horrible, man. I feel bad for you, bro. I've been on your side the whole time. But right now, I cannot be on your side with this, dude. No way.
They don't need the full range of pandemic-related resources that might be necessary in other high-density urban areas with higher case counts. So the amendment Senator Padilla and I have offered would give leaders in rural and urban areas alike the option to spend the funding on necessary infrastructure projects. This is simply a common sense change both sides should be able to get behind. It ensures money that has already gone out the door will be used before it expires. It puts decision making at the local level and gives leaders more flexibility to decide how to use this federal funding on their most urgent needs. And it does so, as I said, without increasing the national deficit at all. This amendment has earned the support of a broad range of organizations across the country. And I'm proud to have worked with Senator Padilla to craft this amendment in a way that both sides can get behind it.
There you go. That's Cornyn, and that's the EIDL grant money that he's talking about, and the SBA small businesses that he's talking about, saying we couldn't give you the money. You don't need it. Apparently, the pandemic's over. We got the vaccines out, and I'm not. S513 is pretty much gone. Without big, massive public outcry right now, or media outcry, the EIDL grant program, the S513, that him and Jackie Rosen had put into the Senate earlier this year on March 1st, that's an afterthought. That's gone. They're on to other things now, and it's a big blow. We'll see what happens. But I'm very, very upset with this. And I'm very, very shocked at Cornyn.
In the coming days, I hope this will be one of many amendments that will receive a vote on the Senate floor, perhaps as early as today. We have to ensure that infrastructure investments are made fairly and paid for reasonably.